Everybody ready? Senator Attorney, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
City Clerk?
Yes, sir.
City Manager?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Bowden?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Everett?
Yes.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Mervyn? Sergeant Owen. I call this workshop a Tuesday, April the 9th, 2019 at 6:12 p.m. to order. May we please stand for the invocation given by Deacon Bobby Colvin, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you tonight for our city. We love the city, and we ask you, God, to give our leaders your wisdom as they go about the business of the city. Lord, let this be a meeting that will please you, and we thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab?
Present.
Commissioner Bowden?
Yes.
Commissioner Everett?
Here.
Commissioner Hill?
Here.
Vice Mayor Mervyn?
Here.
City Manager?
Here.
City Attorney?
Here.
Lieutenant Piccolo?
Here.
City Clerk, present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, staff, and thank each of you all for being here tonight to participate in our workshop of Tuesday, April the 9th, 2019. This workshop of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee is being held to discuss the April 9th, 2019 agenda. At this time, I turn this portion over to the City Manager to help lead us in the discussion of the agenda items presented.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission, citizens, residents, visitors. Thanks for joining us tonight. Mayor, we have a short agenda. I know we shoot to get out of here by 8 o'clock, but we'll see what happens tonight. On the agenda, we do have one addition. That's two change orders on two projects, and then we have a resolution dealing with building planning and zoning. We have one I think we have two presentations. Do we have additional presentations? We have one presentation. That's the Mayor Gold Nail and Hammer Award. Gold Hammer and Nail Award. That's spelled backwards. My apologies. 200 South Barfield Highway discussion of notice of cancellation on the hospital discussion. And if there are any updates on the Marina lease, I'm sure there will be. And of course, we have our audit selection committee applications to approve tonight as well, Mayor. On the current agenda, if there are any additional questions that we currently have. If not, I certainly can please the Commission with a few updates. I did send a bi-weekly report earlier today, but some of you might have not seen that, so I can review that if it pleases the Commission right now.
You'll be fine.
Okay, great. Football renovations, I want to start with that. They finally began to put the turf in yesterday, and it's looking really great out there. We're really excited about the final product. Again, once they finish the field itself, there are two other renovations we have to but finish, and that's the fencing. We put new fencing around the field, and seating. The seating hasn't been worked out yet as far as financing, but we're working on that with some private investors, so we'll see how that works out. Beyond that, it's going very well. The timeline for the completion of the field turf football field is scheduled for the second week of May, and that's a renewed schedule. We assume that it will probably take until maybe end of June, but we've had good weather with this company, and so they've been able to sort of work through the day, and they were out there last night, I believe, working. So that's good. We thought it would not be prepared by the event for the end of May, but we're still going to keep that one at the Marina. That's Relay for Life. But the great thing is, by summer enrichment program, we'll have the football field ready for some extracurricular activities. I've been in contact with the high school football coach. We're looking at bringing 7-on-7 football back here to the city of Pahokee. That was a popular event here in the city of Pahokee, and it sort of highlights this area for sports. So we're excited about what that facility will offer. As far as the gymnasium, From the last meeting, I indicated that the county had moved forward with getting an architectural firm involved. They sent the architectural firm the contract for signature. I assume by now that contract should be making its way to the county for execution. I have a conference call with the county on Friday morning, and then they'll give me an actual schedule of what the renovations will look like, the schedule will look like for renovation. So we're nearing the very end of the administrative process before they can get into the gymnasium and start renovation. So that's good as well. Don't have a timeline on completion, but I'm assuming it's going to take several months, you know, probably beyond some enrichment program. So unfortunately, we'll do back to school bash at the high school again this year. Legislative priorities. The focus in Tallahassee right now with legislative priorities is the Gulf Coast. As you are aware, last year they suffered significant damage from a hurricane. Most of those towns were wiped out. The streets, the roads, even facilities, government buildings, they're literally sort of rebuilding the towns over there on that side of the state. And so knowing that, the legislation this year is focused on sending a couple of $1 billion over to the Gulf Coast cities, and that's, you know, that's expected. However, that will affect, you know, all the municipalities' legislative priorities, certainly ours and other cities. So we don't know how things are going to fall out as far as our priorities in Tallahassee, but we have been put on notice that their focus is rebuilding those cities over on the Gulf Coast, and that's expected. Last year, it was school safety based on the shooting that happened down at Broward, at Broward High School. And so we don't know how we'll fall out this year, but we're working very hard to get something out of the legislature for our priorities this year. But it's slim pickings, as they say right now, for most of the municipalities in the state because of that devastation on that coast. I mean, I can say the rest because most of them are just date announcements. There are any additional questions, I can certainly take those at this time, or we can go back to the agenda, and we've got a few questions for either myself or the city attorney. We can answer those just to kind of workshop some things for you.
Okay. I'll open this up to allow the city commission an opportunity to ask some brief questions, and I'll start with Commissioner Hill,
No
either to
questions at
the
the moment.
city manager or the city attorney. Commissioner Bowden,
No.
Commissioner Everett,
Not at this time.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Not at this time, Mayor.
Okay.
We got some more time. We did have an incident last night, Mayor, at this campus. I call it the campus. It's a big area here. At the renovations where the field turf is going in, someone actually came onto the field and actually vandalized some of the turf that's going in. They actually cut it out. And so PBSO was made aware of that. We are probably 2 weeks away from actually, someone predicted that actually, and someone actually went out and did it. But we're actually about 2 weeks away from getting our ADT cameras. We're getting about 20 cameras here for this facility that will reflect on the football field, the parking lot, the breezeways, the hallways, some of the classrooms, some of the main administrative buildings, even the Everglades prep side. And hopefully that will, put a debtor in the want to, vandalize as we're renovating. It's unfortunate that someone would actually do that, but it doesn't stop the renovations. It's just we have to calibrate and get law enforcement involved and see if we can prevent that from happening in the future, because they have several more weeks of renovations out there. And it's coming along just, absolutely marvelous. If you have an opportunity, just drive by, you can see the difference already. And with the plan of repainting the entire facility, we'll have a really nice, sports complex here in the coming months. So I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Yeah. What's the size of the fencing that's going to be installed there? Is it 6 feet?
No, we're going to go 8 feet. 6 feet doesn't secure that football field. So we were going the galvanized metal. That's too expensive. And so we came back down to the black chain link fencing. Looks really nice. And it took the cost down significantly from what was being received from some of the quotes. And so it'll be an 8-foot fence, and that should, you know, keep folks at bay when it's closed, and along with the security cameras, and hopefully just, you know, pride in this community that, you know, people will respect that this facility is something to, you know, treasure. So, but it's going to be an 8-foot fence.
Can I ask a question,
Yes,
please?
ma'am.
Sure.
The cameras that we're putting in, were they in the budget already, or is that something that we have?
No,
to
they're
budget?
part of some of our surtax renovations that we knew we had to eventually have here at this facility. So no, it wasn't in our general budget. It's actually in our surtax.
And do we
funds.
normally go out for bid for that?
Not for this project, because it's going to be well under the $10,000 mark, which I was actually surprised to hear that. I thought it would be well above, but they came in under that. Subsequently, we have ADT already in all of our facilities, and so we are aware of their client. So we were able to, you know, have a more robust conversation about what it takes to have cameras here to you know, have at this facility. So I was very pleased to hear the quote that they provided us.
And we'll get a copy of that quote?
Sure. I should have it in my email by now.
Are we considering security just for the completion of the field until we can get fencing up? Normally when you have those major projects like that, we're talking really about an $800,000 project and an expensive field. So I'm just wondering, have we looked at that? Are we considering doing that just for the period where we don't have fencing to that stuff?
Yeah, I reached out actually to Field Turf, the actual, and I you know, posed that question to them. Would they, you know, provide private security at their leisure? And they're thinking about it. They're looking to actually take most of the equipment and bringing in storage facilities and securing it that way. And it's probably something in hindsight, something I actually recommended, but they didn't do. We provided the space, but they didn't bring in the shipping containers. And now they're rethinking that suggestion. But this occurred because they left most of the equipment in plain view. And so that will entice anyone that wants to, you know, break in, you know, jump the fence and do that. But it just went from stealing a couple of tools to actually vandalizing the actual field itself. So I recommended, you know, that they look at providing security, and they said they'll get back with me. But in the interim, I also reiterated that they have a large space on the north side of the football field for storage, for storage facilities, and so they're looking at that as well. But they did secure everything today before they went home. I spoke with PBSO. They're going to do hourly monitoring throughout the night on the football field as well, until some other recommendations or things can come into place to ensure that doesn't happen.
And are we insured? Is that under our insurance for whatever happened to the field?
It falls under Field Turf's insurance that they have.
So it
we're
won't cost
fine.
us anything
No,
extra?
ma'am. No,
Okay.
ma'am.
And finally, the top of the fence, if there's any type of measures that would make it difficult to scale the fence. We're talking about where you have youth in a new field. I'm just being proactive to kind of eliminate the possibility of them jumping across the fence as much as possible. You can't totally control it, but you can make it a little more difficult, especially if they cut the turf and try to get it over the fence.
Well, 8 feet's a long way to fall if you get up that high. And they feel that how they're building, they're going to build this fence. If you get to the top of that fence and decide to scale it back down, it's a long way back down. But he did suggest today, one of the companies that provided me a quote, for putting barbed wire fence that forks out away from, and I didn't like the look, because it made it, the barbed wire took away from the beautification that's going in there.
You saw some pictures of it?
Yeah.
I mean, to visually
Yeah,
look
and
at it?
yes, and it looks too much. Well, you know the word. I just didn't like the barbed wire because it represented something a little different than what we want. And I think that once everyone sees this finished product, that it'll be taken care of. And I trust that. If we have to go back and put some type of additional measure at the top, we can look at that. But I think, you know, what they're presenting, I think we need to keep it within the scope of it being, you know, beautiful. And the barbed wire, you know, takes away from that as well. And I just didn't want to move in that direction. It was offered, but I just didn't want to move in that direction because we have that out there now, and it's rusted out, it's brown, and so I didn't want to go in that direction. But if we have to go, if something happens beyond what occurred now, and we think this is an isolated incident, we'll look at that in the near future. But with the cameras coming in, with the new lighting that we'll have at nighttime, we think we'll be pretty secure, and we think that once the product is finished, that will subside.
Okay.
Yep.
With the 8-foot fencing, will it just be around the perimeter of the field?
It will go around. I'm sorry.
Around the perimeter of the field, but also if it is around the perimeter of the field. In passing Belglade's field, it seemed as if they had a fencing around the field itself.
Yeah.
So how is it going to be out there?
The fence that we have now, that's what's being replaced around the entire campus, and even up into the corridor of the entryway here between the administrative building and where the senior building and the computer room is. It'll get 8-foot entry gates there, and also the building, the administrative building between administrative building and the gymnasium will also get an 8-foot gate, swinging gate fence there, and then it'll go all the way around to where the backside of the laundry facility is and car wash, and it'll go in this entire facility. And so you would have to, you know, scale someplace, somewhere to get into this facility because they're going to fence it in the way it is now.
So in answer my question, there will not be a fence
No,
around the field itself.
No. Belgrade doesn't have enough space at that particular field to do much with. We have, you know, fortunately have enough space for a sideline, seating, etc. So no, that the way you're looking at the fence now, the new fence will go in place where the old fence is now.
Now, initially, when funds were approved for the field, is the fencing is in addition to
That's an addition. Yeah.
that. Seating will be in addition.
Yes.
Okay, so
Working on it.
so we're working on the.
Yeah. The fencing, of course, is a part of surtax funds, but the seating completely different. So we don't have funding for that yet, but we're working some private interest right now. Yeah.
So let me just clarify, because I wasn't here when y'all signed the contract for the field. The fencing for the field was not included in that price? It's just to put down the turf?
That's correct. Yeah, the turf and the preparation for the seating and everything you see that goes into the football field, that's what the football field is for. It wasn't for the external items that we're discussing.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, City Manager. At this time, we adjourn the workshop session and convene our regular commission meeting in 2 minutes.
Yes, sir.
City Clerk,
Yes, sir.
City Manager,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Bowden,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin, Sergeant at Arms. Thank you. I call this City Commission meeting of Tuesday, April the 9th, 2019, a regular commission meeting to order at 6:34. May you please stand for the invocation given by Reverend Margaret Smart, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for our community, for the city of Pahokee. We thank you for the dedicated people who work so hard to help us in this city. But we ask you to give them insight for what needs to be done and have it done properly. And we also ask you to help us to be good citizens and to report when we know that there's something going wrong before it gets out of hand. Your blessings upon each and every one of our commissioners and our mayor, our city officials, and your blessings upon the city of Pahokee. We thank you and help us to remember those that are in need. In Jesus' holy name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab,
Present.
Commissioner Bowden,
Present?
Commissioner Everett,
Here.
Commissioner Hill,
President.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Here.
City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney,
Here.
Lieutenant Piccolo,
Here.
City Clerk, present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, staff, and thank each of you all for being here today to participate in our regular scheduled commission meeting of April 9th, 2019. I also want to acknowledge Pastor Robert Reese, aide to Representative Tina Poklowski office. Appreciate you being here. Just want to remind the commission there's an opportunity to speak with him before or after the meeting if you have any concerns that need to be addressed on the state level. It's a good opportunity to pass that information on. We have a short agenda. Shouldn't take us very long to get through it, but I just want to acknowledge the participation of our community for your continuous presence at our commission meeting. I think we're probably the best attended commission meeting in the Glaze area, so we thank you for that. And thank you for staying on top of us and making sure that we do what we are elected to do as elected officials. So at this time, we're going to move right along our agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or approval of the agenda items?
Yes, ma'am. One resolution 2019-18. 2019-18. Resolution 2019-18.
Okay.
And Mayor, also that if we can, we have a resident of the city that turned 100 years old,
Wow.
that if we can acknowledge her at the next commission meeting.
Okay. Great.
Who is it?
Mr. Mayor, would it be possible to move the item regarding the old hospital deposit up to right where your consent agenda is?
Yes, sir.
So we can thank and ask those folks, let those folks go that came all the way up here
Okay.
to Broward County.
And is it possible for us to add the yearly review for the city manager? That we
Okay.
get that started?
Well,
Yeah,
that's actually added when we get all of the reviews back from the commissioners, and then it goes on the next agenda, once it goes back to HR.
Okay.
Yep. And we haven't received them back yet, so once we receive them back, it goes to HR for scoring, and then she comes back and presents scoring.
I was glad. I'm glad that was brought. I was going to bring that up regarding if I could just get a day or two extension.
Not a problem.
Okay, with the additions, and the recommendation to move up the old hospital discussion up at the top of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as presented.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer a motion that we accept the agenda with those additions that were added.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill for the approval of the agenda item with the addition that was outlined. Call for questions. Hearing none, you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. At this time, we'll move the House pillar discussion up to the agenda. City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, as you know, the contract with the health regard to the old hospital was terminated by the potential buyer. And between the last meeting and now, the potential buyer has cooperated 100% with the city and provided us some valuable information regarding the old hospital relating to engineering, potential uses, layouts, and so forth. And in return for providing that information to the city, both the city manager and myself have agreed to recommend that the funds be returned to that buyer, and that the city execute the notice of cancellation that's in your backup. So I'd recommend that the city commission go forward and do that now.
Okay. City Commission, having heard the city attorney as well as the city manager recommendation for the funds to be returned to the purchaser, what's your pleasure?
Can I participate in this?
Of course.
Oh. Mr. Mayor, I would like to offer a motion that we accept the city attorney's recommendation with regards to returning the funds due to termination of contract regarding the property, Old Hospital.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill.
Mayor, that includes authorization for the mayor to sign the notice of cancellation and mutual release, I believe.
Okay. It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill that we return the deposit and cancel the agreement to have the hospital purchase at this time. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Motion carried by unanimous vote.
Now, Mr. Mayor, y'all should have just listened to me.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner.
Okay, now we'll move to citizen comments. Must have a comment card completed. This is for agenda items only. Madam Clerk, at this time, do we have any comment card completed for agenda items?
Yes, sir, Miss Leanna Lala and Mr. Dunn.
They're good.
We can cancel those two. Miss Joanne Culberson. Marina Restaurant and Campground.
It's an agenda item.
I think they want to talk later.
At this time, no, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Now we'll move to our public service announcement. Also must have a public service comment card completed. City Clerk, at this time, do we have any public service comment card completed?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll move to the approval of the minutes. The January 22nd, 2019 regular schedule commission meeting minutes. What's your pleasure, City Commission?
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer a motion that we accept minutes from January 22nd, 2019 regularly scheduled commission meeting minutes.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of the regular scheduled commission meeting of January 22nd, 2019. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The motion to approve the regular scheduled meeting of January 22nd, 2019 has been approved by unanimous vote. We don't have any consent agenda items, no ordinance. We do have a resolution, Resolution 2019-17, City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an agreement by and between the City of Pahokee and the Property Registration Champions LLC, DBA Pro Champs. Mr. Mayor, this company has been providing the city with foreclosure notice services since the foreclosure problems that we had, I guess it was 2008, 2010. And so what they do is they keep track of properties that are in foreclosure and help the city with regard to managing those properties, with regard to code enforcement and just keeping up with the ownership of them. Some time ago, this contract came up for renewal, and both the city manager and myself thought that perhaps it wasn't needed anymore, and we advised you all to let it drop. I believe that was a mistake, and now we've heard from the departments involved, and they've said that they do provide a valuable function and would like to proceed forward with them. And that's why Mr. Sluggett is here tonight on behalf of them, and we are recommending that you approve this contract. Mr. Sluggett is the distinguished gentleman here in the corner.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, council
Good evening.
members. For the record, Jeffrey Sluggett representing Community Champions. I really just was attending just to answer any questions you might have. Just to give you a little background, we first entered into a contract with the city of Pahokee back in 2010. That was at probably the height of the real estate bust and the foreclosure crisis that we had. But just to give you some statistics, over the life of that contract up until now, or until it was terminated back last year, there were about 328 foreclosed property registrations. It doesn't necessarily mean there were 328 properties because it's an annual registration. Some of those probably rolled over to several years, but the program actually generated 328 registrations, and it actually netted close to $16,500 in revenue to the city. It's a registration revenue-based program. Basically how my client makes their money is by getting a portion of the registration fee. The registration fee is $150. My client retains $100 of that. $50 is remitted back on a monthly basis for every number of properties that are registered. So there's no capital outlay, no cost associated with it. And probably the best part of it is it's a great code compliance tool for your code staff, because they can keep an eye on what's the status with the properties, who's responsible for maintaining the properties, if the grass is overgrown, if there's broken windows, if there's a swimming pool that's not being maintained, whatever code issues that might be that may exist. This program allows them to have easier access to the responsible parties that actually have the foreclosed property. So that's basically the program in a nutshell. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them for you.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the adoption or Resolution 2019-17.
Mayor, I make a motion to accept the resolution 2019-18?
17.
17, I'm sorry.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Everett for the adoption of Resolution 2019-17. Call for questions.
Yeah, I have one. I guess maybe it's probably a silly question, but isn't that what code would do?
Code actually handles the code enforcement side of it. Basically, what this program does is it identifies for the city staff the responsible parties. Typically, in a property that's in a state of foreclosure, you have a bank or a mortgage servicing company that actually has taken or it will be taking the property back. They then are, and you have an ordinance that requires this, they have to then go ahead and appoint a property maintenance company that's going to maintain that property. So as staff goes out, if there is an issue that pops up with that property, my client, we actually have all the data available to the city, and it's done through a database that's turned over to the city staff where they can go online, pull it up by address, property control number. It even has GPS functions where you can go through Google Maps, click on it, tells you the exact status of the property. So if it's in any type of disrepair, they have the exact individual that's responsible for that. They can pick up the phone and call that number. We also work as a community partner. So if there's any issue where the property is not being cleaned up, code staff can go ahead and contact us directly and say, if it's Bank of America, Wells Fargo, whoever it might be, we'll go ahead and step in and make sure that property gets cleaned up as well. So it's not just providing data, but it's actually, we're serving as a community partner to the city as well.
And then it's the bank that pays you all?
It is the
That
bank
pays the
that is
$150
required to
registration?
register the property. That is
Okay.
correct. And it's done on an annual basis.
So the city itself, Public Works Department don't have to go out and cut the grass like they do now?
That's correct, exactly.
And just for clarification, although this is a contractual agreement, this doesn't cost the city anything. We're not paying for the service.
You make money off of it.
That's right. We actually
And it's
generate revenue.
for 5 years and then it rolls over 4 times, is that right?
I'm sorry, say that again?
The contract's-
contract, I believe it's a 2-year
thought it said
contract
5,
with a
maybe I
1-year automatic
misunderstood.
renewal, so I think it's a
Okay.
3-year.
2 years, okay, I'm sorry.
With 1 automatic
One
renewal, I think,
automatic,
in that
okay.
as well.
All right, thank you.
In addition to questions, hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes?
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2019-17 passes by unanimous vote.
Mayor, Commission, in addition to that, we've tried over the last several years to move to a more cloud-based system for most of our departments. As you know, several years ago, we moved our financial department to Blight Mountain. It's a very unique software for financial systems for government. That's been in operation for about 2.5 years now. We're also adding to our building planning and zoning department a system called OurWorks. OurWorks is a software system that helps building planning and zoning. All of their paperwork is more driven with software. It eliminates a lot of the paperwork, all of our forms, our documents, as far as our permitting requests, those things that most contractors need will be in this system, as well as a mapping system of the entire city of Pahokee for code enforcement officers. So now when they go out, they have a computer on board with them, and when they create case logs, it'll automatically upload to the cloud system back into the system on the server. And so it generates the letters or reminders for code cases, for also for special magistrate. It just eliminates a lot of the paperwork that code officers were doing by hand, and also it works seamlessly with this contract as well. So we're excited about that because it sort of streamlines a lot of what they've been doing over the years by holding files in file cabinets, and now it's going to a system-wide process where it's digital, and you can actually, you know, push up a button and have reminders. And so we're excited about that as well.
Thank you, sir.
That comes online late May.
And Mr. Mayor, if I can, just to add to Mr. Williamson's comment, and with our program, we would be more than willing to work with you to upload and integrate our 2 systems together so we can have that conversation as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to doing business with you again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
And resolution 2019-18, we took care of that.
No, the next resolution, Mayor, is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving the change orders on the attached Exhibit A. There are 2 change orders up for your review tonight. The first one is for Genesis Construction in the amount of $6,500. And the second one is for Lynch Paving and Construction in the amount of $22,820. both of which the city manager can explain if you desire an explanation.
Need explanation? City manager?
The first one is Genesis. That is the removal of the galvanized chain link fence. That was the old one around, not around, but on the west side of the old Pahokee High School. That was a change order that we put in at the last minute. We didn't want to do the external and not remove that fencing. So that was for that, and the existing trees that were removed as well. So that was for Genesis. The 22 is actually for Commissioner's Park, installation of new concrete curbing. There was a new chain link fence put up. Actually, it's very similar to the one we're going to put up around the football field, but it's at 6 feet. That fence, and installed a wider gate at the Bacon Point Road entrance. That entire gate was installed as well. That was a change. What happened with this particular order was it got in the transition of staff leaving the office, this one got left in a file somewhere, and it was actually a part of the original contract that when we actually did the numbers on this project and closed it out, that we came back and realized, and we both realized, Lynch and the city, that this had not been paid. That's why the date is backdated, not backdated, but it says August. And so that was the remaining part of this project that should have been paid.
We'll entertain a motion so we can entertain any question the commission may have.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I'd like to offer a motion that we hear and accept Resolution 2019-18.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Vice Mayor Mervin that we adopt Resolution 2019-18. Call for questions.
City Manager, on here it says the furniture and installed 4 feet high. Is that this height of the fence? I thought it was 8.
No, that's we're talking about Commissioner's Park.
Oh,
Yeah.
Commissioner, okay.
Yes.
I was-
Yeah, I'm saying the design is similar, that what they're going to install. Yeah, different company, but the design is very similar. So if you want an idea of how the fencing will look here, you can take a look at what was done out at Commissioner's Park. It'd be very similar.
Okay, I have a question. How do we have this was completed when?
Which project?
Either one. Looks like they both, this one says 11/16 and this one
Genesis
says
wrap-
8/28/18.
Yeah, Genesis finished, I want to say sometime in December. Yeah, and that's Old Pahokee High School. And Lynch finished in, I think, November. Yeah, and then we started closing out the project from there. And closeout means we start sending all our canceled checks, all our invoices, et cetera, back to the state for they can actually do their accounting as well. And what happened is, again, we don't know how we missed this change order. It was submitted to the previous director in that department, and when she transitioned out, it never made it to finance. And actually, Lynch Paving missed it as well until we both realized that it was remaining on the books, hadn't been paid out. So that money is still sitting there to be paid out to them. Subsequently,
But we closed out and then we found out.
excuse me.
We closed out the deal and then we
closed
found
out
out
on
that
the
we hadn't
city's
paid
on
them.
the city's books, and the state is now finally closing out on their books. But we also found this change order sitting there, and they indicated to us it had not been paid. So we went back and sort of double checked to ensure that we hadn't missed anything. And sure enough, we found this change order in the file sitting there. It had not been forwarded to the finance. Once it was signed, it was just sitting there for several months. And it's kind of funny because change orders after that were actually paid. And so how we missed this one, we just don't know. But it wasn't paid.
At any point, did we approve this initially at some point?
No, because it never made it to the, that's why it was missed. It was never presented to the commission at all. It just sat there in a file, and we thought we most likely missed it in that transition of staff. Typically, when a change order comes, the contractor can say you can hold it or you can, present it now. We don't need that change order immediately. And this one was actually held because there was other construction going on. It wasn't priority at that time. So it was held and not presented. It was signed at the time and approved, but it was held. And then when that staff transitioned out, it sat in that file in that office until we closed the contract out and realized that it wasn't paid.
I mean, I might understand that there was one, but the fact that there's two really concerns me.
Well, let's look at it this way.
These are two entirely
Both of
different
these change
projects,
orders,
and they're sitting in two entirely different files.
right. That's why I said when that staff transitioned out, that change order wasn't forwarded from their office.
From whose office?
From Department of Community Economic Development, from that previous staff. And so when the new staff came in and took over, that wasn't made aware of at that time. And so it was just sitting there as a change order that should have been brought to the commission, but it wasn't. So just an oversight
and
on that
I've never
staff's
seen a
part.
contractor let you set, I mean, you know, it's $22,000.
Yeah, it's significant.
They usually don't let you set and just not pay without sending out something.
Mr. Mayor,
I
I'd
agree
like
with
to
that.
comment on this if I could. You know, it's really a good thing this is being brought to the commission, and this is a result of your assertive management, because as you recall, not too long ago, you adopted a resolution telling the finance director that it is illegal and she cannot pay any invoices which have not been properly authorized under the city codes and by the city commission.
Correct.
So she did not pay these, which is a good thing. She caught this, and now she's saying, I'm not going to pay it unless the commission approves it. Why it's taken this long to get to you, I don't know. But it's a positive step forward that you have this control in place now.
Any additional questions? I want to allow Commissioner Hill so she can participate in the vote in a few minutes.
Hmm? I'll see if I can find it.
Right.
You read it, Bill?
Marina. What did I say?
Haven't heard no additional questions. Are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
No.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes by 4-1 majority. We have no public hearings, no proclamations. We're moving to our presentation of the Mayor Gold Hammer and Nail Award. And if you would, Commissioners, join me down at the podium. We'll have our city manager just give a brief background on the awardee.
Thank you. Mayor, as you know, every month we provide to a deserving homeowner the Lawn of the Month, and that homeowner is awarded a certificate and a monetary reward for maintaining their lawn externally. However, also every 3.5 to 4 months, we award a deserving homeowner, it's on the screen, deserving homeowner, the Mayor Bab's Gold Hammer and Nail Award. And this is for a homeowner that has done extensive renovations to their home, inside and out, to beautify their home and really increase the value. Now, I don't know if we have the Google version of this home before it was renovated, And even these pictures don't do it justice unless I'm seeing it from on behind. But this is a really beautiful home, and they put a lot of hard work into it over the last several months. And if you could remember, I don't know if those folks who live on Bacon Point Road, if you can remember this home, it's come quite a long way. And again, these pictures don't give it justice as far as I'm concerned. But they've done a lot of extensive work with the, I think that's the driveway there that we're looking at now. There's another picture, there's a backside, there's a close-up picture that has the swings out front. Maybe it doesn't have that picture, but this is a really nice home, and I really appreciate our residents investing in their homes and bringing value here to the city of Pahokee. And as Mayor, as you said, this should, it should be contagious. Now, everyone is not, fortunate to have, home renovation funds sitting around. It takes a lot of commitment and sacrifice to renovate your home. And so we just want to recognize, we had several homes, but this one stood out this quarter. And so we wanted to say thank you for, investing here in the city of Pahokee in your home. You certainly are bringing value here to the city of Pahokee. And we're looking forward to another 4 quarters of hard work here from a homeowner, but this is great. Wonderful.
So the commission would join me. And would Mr. Jose Castro or his family join us? If you would join us up front.
Congratulations, painful job. Good work. I remember you were the one holding the tree that day, right? Thank you. Hey, how you doing?
Thank you. Commissioners. To the Castro family, on behalf of the Pahokee City Commission, Commissioner Vice Mayor Clara Mervin, Commissioner Benny Everett III, Commissioner Regina Bolden, Commissioner Felicia Hill, along with our city manager, Chandler Williamson, our city attorney, and our city clerk, Ms. Clark, and our entire city staff. We want to congratulate you all on winning this award. It's an award given quarterly. We thank you for your hard work in beautifying your home. Not only does it increase the value of your home, but all the surrounding properties on that particular street. I had the opportunity this afternoon to drive by there, take a few pictures. It's a beautiful property, and we certainly appreciate all of your effort and hard work. And at this time, we're going to have Commissioner Mervin present the check, and Commissioner Everett present the actual certificate. And only one requirement on the check, that you spend some of that money locally in the city of Pahokee. We have some great businesses here. We had one just recently start this week. So spend it carefully and spend it well. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor's Gold Nail and Hammer Award presented to Jose A. Castro, 819 Bacon Point Road, Pahokee, Florida, 33476, in recognition of home renovations and beautifications presented this 9th day of April 2019. Mayor Babb, Vice Mayor Mervin, Commissioner Bolin, Commissioner Everett, Commissioner Hill, and our city manager. Again, congratulations, and very beautiful property. Thank you.
And I have the honor to give you the money. And as he said, spend it wisely here in the city of Pahokee. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take a photo op and then allow one of y'all to say a few words.
And thank you for everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we're moving to the report of the mayor. We finally got the Mayor Tillis sign unveiled, and that was a great occasion. Unfortunately, myself and the vice mayor was out of town, but based on the pictures we saw on Facebook and other things, we think it was a great event. If I'm not mistaken, there will be an additional signage on the north end of the street to also commemorate that particular street. Myself and the vice mayor traveled to Tallahassee on April the 1st and the 2nd. It was a great successful meeting. We spoke with about 17 state legislators one-on-one and had some great sessions. Basically, we thanked them for supporting some of our priorities and assisting us with receiving funding. But in turn, they thanked us for being there. There's nothing like having one-on-one meeting with people who are responsible for the funding of our community. I thought it was a great showing and a great time there. We didn't have to pay anything as far as the city. It was paid for by Glades Lives Matter, and it was Glades Community Day during those 2 days. So there were some other folks from the community that was there representing their community. So we thought that went very, very well. Also, I spoke with the Pahokee Housing Authority. Just to give you an update, they are renovating several units in Freedom Village and Paget Island. I think it's approximately 128 units that they are renovating, making them beautiful, just a beautiful renovations there. They also have had a job fair, so they'll be hiring local, as many as possible, that live in those communities. So we're really happy and excited about that. The city itself will be working real hard. We have had some conversation with Palm Beach County and other private entities that are interested in building houses. We have Mr. Morrison here. His group is looking very forward to building a housing development here also in Pahokee once we can attain state approval for the land that they're looking at. So that is the conclusion of my mayor's report. We'll now move into the city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just mentioning to the city attorney that we did some follow-up on that 30-some acres out there with the state, and so we'll be expecting some feedback here, you know, probably in the next several days or so. I provided you phase 2 marina renovations. This is the majority of the items, if not all of the items, minus maybe 1 or 2, that we'll be conducting in phase 2 renovations. One that stands out there is the installation of the fishing pier. We're most likely will be taking that out of the project itself. Of course, that will require an amendment from the state and for your approval, but I've indicated that. We most likely will need an extension as well, looking at the timeline and looking at the things that need to be done. And provided that initial conversation to the state and indicated that a letter will be forthcoming. And of course, they will then send us back an abbreviated contract for time extension and if we revise some of our scopes of work. But this is a majority of the work, if not, again, if not all of the work that we'll be doing in phase 2.
Question. I do apologize for
Sure.
interrupting, but you stated that the installation of fishing pier will be subtracted from the scope of work.
Commissioner, that's up to you. It's up to you to look at this list of projects and determine which ones are the priorities, to instruct the city manager on which ones of these to pursue, and to instruct the city manager on how to amend the agreement with the state. This is up to you.
I understood, but I guess my question would have been, the rationale behind subtracting the fishing pier. My only concern with regards to that is the public outcry that took place regarding plans of moving forward with the marina, and the promise that we did put out in the atmosphere with regards to installing the fishing pier. I just don't, you know, we're here to service everyone. And when we say us encompasses a lot of people. And there is a sector of people that find fishing very near and dear to them. And I just don't want us to be disingenuous with regards to what we said in the beginning versus what we're doing now. If it's a good reason behind it, I would like to know. And my other question would be, when is this decision expected to be made? And I hope not tonight, because I'm just seeing.
Which decision?
The decision of approving amendments and sending whatever needs to be sent to the state.
Well, I mean, we're at a critical time with this project. It certainly needs to move forward. We're in the process of using this item to prepare our bid. But let me get back to the fishing pier. One thing that we do know is folks are fishing on our seawall now, much larger than the fishing pier that we were going to build. But as indicated by the city attorney, there are some more critical priorities that we need to get done at the marina. And the fishing pier, we took a look at that, and then we looked at the amount of money that we received. And speaking, you know, with some more experts, it would take a lot more money than what we were provided to get that fishing pier built. That's first of all. But I don't think it hinders or interferes or even changes any of the practices of leisure fishing that we have now. We have a large seawall in what is considered the fishing pier now, and I think only about, if I'm not mistaken, you have some folks here that live on the marina, probably about 40% of that is used right now. So we're not even using the entire seawall where you can fish in this area. So we're not using that at 100%. And maybe about 35, 40%, which is, you know, if we ever needed the space, if 100 fishermen came out there, you would still have enough space on the seawall currently. So we took a look at this particular part of the 990 and realized that we have more critical issues to address. And we talked about some of those critical issues at the last commission meeting that we had to work on immediately that was not a part of the original grant. And so understanding that, it was easy to sort of look at the fishing pier and say it's not a critical need that we want. We talked about it. It would have been a great leisure addition, but it's easy to remove that piece and then address more critical issues on this list.
Okay, so if I can provide a rebuttal, that's fine with me, as long as, you know, one of my issues was, with, you know, due to the public outcry and how near and dear that was to a good portion of our citizenry.
When you say public outcry, what? The fishing pier or the seawall using it?
Let me finish.
I was just asking.
Okay. Now that you provided the explanation with regards to the seawall and that will not impede them from fishing there, that's fine. Because you can't miss what you don't have. We still have the seawall. So, I mean, I'm not against subtracting the fishing pier, as long as the citizens have access to utilizing the seawall.
Oh yeah, of course. That's not a discussion tonight. That's not a discussion. Yeah.
I have some questions. Can I ask them?
Yeah, let me ask the city attorney. I have you.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out to the commission that the sublease that we at least anticipate entering into, provided the state approves it, with Everglades Holdings LLC, does allow for the continuation of fishing on the seawalls. One of the details we're still trying to iron out with them is the cost of maintaining the restrooms that will have to be open 24/7, and the security issues involved with that. But we are working in that direction to keep the fishing ability in place for the residents on the seawall with the current proposed subleasing. The installation of that fishing pier, that's probably a $750,000 item, and a year, yes, and a year plus in permitting.
Yeah, cut that.
That's what we're saying. That's what the
Yeah,
manager's
cut
saying.
it. You know, I hate,
Yeah.
my only concern is sometimes we have selective amnesia, and I just wanted to ensure
Yep.
that,
Yep.
we were still on the same page with regards to the seawall.
Yes, sir.
You can't miss what you never had.
Agreed.
So the fishing pier isn't an issue, and with $750,000, I mean, that's pretty much a no-brainer.
Yeah.
That we don't need to continue with doing that project.
And I think the city manager believed that you all would agree with that. So, you do not have accurate estimates of any of these items on here. So it's hard for you to say, okay, this is what we're gonna spend the $990,000 on.
Yeah.
Okay? The other thing is, and I'm sure the city manager was gonna tell you this, 9 months of that year grant period for that $990,000 has already gone by. And it says you have to spend that money by June. You're not gonna be able to spend it by June. So you're gonna have to ask the state for an extension. And when we ask the state for an extension, we need to lay out for them the plan and how long it's gonna take. And in that regards, I've suggested to the city manager, and I think he agrees, that the city needs to implement what's called a CPM sequencing scheduling program. What that does is that for each individual job, once you have that program in place, it'll tell you everything you need to do to get that job done. What engineers you have to hire, when you have to hire the engineer, how you have to hire the engineer, what's the schedule for hiring the engineer? What's the schedule for the engineer completing the drawings and plans? What's the schedule for putting that out for bid? What's the schedule for awarding the contract, starting the job, completing the job? All that's laid out. There are all kinds of programs online where you can do that. Every construction job in the state of Florida has one of those. We need to have that in Pahokee. So I have brought with me a fellow tonight. He is an aerospace engineer and a project management consultant, and he is willing to assist the city in implementing that program, setting it up for you, and teaching the city how to use it. Once that program is in place, for instance, what is typically done is that every 2 weeks, there's a project team meeting on each of the tasks on that program. So if one of the tasks is fix the pool, well, there's a conference call on everybody involved in fixing the pool. And so the team leader says, how are we coming on fixing the pool? And they say, well, you're ahead or behind, you're on schedule, you're not on schedule, how do we fix it? All right? So then if any modifications are necessary for that schedule, then those modifications are made right then and there. Then, if that scheduling meeting happens a couple of days before your commission meeting, that schedule will be presented and put on your commission agenda. You will be able to see and track exactly where every single project is in the city, what dollar amounts are involved, and when they're going to be paid out. That can be put online. All right? So then, with whoever you hire as your project management person to make sure that's clicking along, well then, Mr. Chandler, your city manager, can devote his time to other important city issues and not be worried about whether or not the guy that's plastering the side of the pool is on schedule or not. But you will all know, and the city will all know, and everybody in the community will know that the project's moving forward. Once this schedule is in place, you'll be able to give that to the state of Florida and say, see, we can't finish this in the next 3 months, but this is when we will finish it. And then they will give it to you. So you will have this in place for every single project you do. And for instance, the Marina, it will be broken down to every single project on this list. And every one of them will have a time sequence, and it'll be on a critical path method, which means that, for instance, you can't build a roof before you build the floor. So every job will be sequenced in place. When one goes off, then everything else below it that's on that critical path has to be moved down as well. And you can see the result in a delay. So Mr. Ince is here. He's agreed to work on an hourly basis on a contract which I'm hoping you will instruct the city manager to let, under his authority to him, to put this in place. So we no longer have problems with scheduling, permitting, engineering, overruns, change orders that come in 5 months too late. All of that will be sequenced and put in place. This is what the city needs on every single job, and particularly on this Marina job. Thank you.
Question, City Attorney, although this may fall within the guidelines of the city manager as far as the contract negotiation, the cost, I know he's gonna be doing it on an hourly basis, but what is the maximum cost that this may cost us?
Whatever you want. I mean, if you get this guy on board and he's a total flop in the first week, you let him go.
Okay.
If he does a good job and the manager's satisfied with him, then the manager's probably going to say, look at what he did. This is going to make my life so easy. I want this on every project going forward. And this guy is going to be the most valuable guy in the city.
Okay. And as far as an RFP for soliciting,
He's not an engineer. He's providing you with scheduling work. You do not have to go through the CCNA, and it's within the city manager's authority to issue a work order for him to start and put this program in place for you.
and I know I may be jumping a little, I agree that if we're gonna be helping prioritize some of these things that need to be done, we need to at least have some type of estimate of the cost associated. Only when we have costs is down to the bottom, and I think this is dealing with mainly some of the emergency needs at the Marina. But in addition to that, we don't have any additional costs up here. And also, if I'm not mistaken, I think our early estimate of the pier was about $350,000.
That was with phase one, and with a different, estimate, different engineer.
Oh, you know what I'm saying, but that was an initial estimate, so we're talking about removing the pier, which I definitely agree with, but now we got an additional $350,000 that we haven't accounted for as far as expenditures here.
Well, actually.
No?
No,
Actually,
If you're taking the pier out,
actually,
that's
we
what I
are
was gonna
accounting
ask
for
you.
that, because based on the last conversation at the last commission meeting, there were several things that were critical that we had to start working on immediately outside of the 990.
Right, we got the figures
And so,
for that.
excuse me?
I said, we have the figures for that. They come out to maybe 125,000.
Right.
Right, but I'm saying we had initially
Right.
projected or estimated the pier would be 350,000. All I'm saying, there can be some additional things that could
There will be some
fall
additional
under the
things.
990,000.
Yeah, and it could be some professional services as well that we're speaking on. So we have it in our threshold to bring this type of service on.
So those items also need to be listed so we can help prioritize what we want to do.
Well, not necessarily,
Okay.
because you have to remember, in the scope of work, we estimate permitting, administrative oversight for about $115,000. So the services that we're not paying them $115,000, but the services that the city attorney is speaking of falls under that threshold. It's already in the budget for permitting, administrative oversight, et cetera. And I believe that falls into administrative oversight, if I'm correct. So.
Okay, so you have the one issue. Do you have the authority to hire someone to help you with this scheduling? You do have that.
All right.
Then the next issue is, can those costs be recovered from the grant? And Mr. Williamson is saying, yes, they can. And then lastly, you know, each of these items on here should be costed out by someone who knows what they're doing
Amen.
in the construction business. And no offense to Mr. Chandler, but he's not a construction guy. He shouldn't have to do that job. The city should have somebody that knows what they're doing on construction doing that job. Not Mr. Chandler. I'm not saying that in a negative way for Mr. Chandler. I'm just saying we need to get the right people doing this and moving this project forward.
Yes.
And Mayor Commission, typically you don't see the cost items come out until the proposed bidders come out. They look at the work, they start analyzing and assessing what each item they think will cost, and then you get a bid. So
Well,
he's
I think
correct
what
about
actually
that.
happens is the governmental entity costs out the items and determines in advance what they can afford. Then they put it out on the street for bid, and they compare the bids to the cost estimates they had in advance to see if they're reasonable and whether they should let the bid or not. That's the process that is supposed to happen.
Before
I think we
the matter
still on the
at hand
original question,
get
though.
lost in discussion, I think it's a wonderful program. And I think what it would help us do is give our citizens facts,
Transparency.
transparency, and deadlines that they can depend on. And so we don't keep hee-hawing around. I like to offer a motion.
Well, let's back up, because I think we started off with, one, do we want to amend the grant agreement with the state to remove the fishing pier? I think that's a yes, correct? And then
Well, they
two,
haven't-
do we need
They haven't
to?
decided that yet.
Okay.
Well, now, Mr. Preside.
They're
And then-
gonna take this step at a time.
Hold on.
Because that's where we started, and
we're
then two,
dancing.
the extension.
We're dancing now.
No, that's
Mr.
where we started
Preside,
at.
Now, how we gonna handle this? Are we gonna handle the 750, the fishing pier, and then
I
handle?
think we need to handle the
city-
fishing pier
Let's-
first.
That's critical. Let's take care
Do
of
the
that.
fishing
I
pier
think
first.
it's already kind
I
of
think it's already,
received
but we
that
need
we're
to
gonna
go ahead and put
remove
it in
it, but
song.
I'll entertain a motion from the
Exactly.
commission whether or not we want to remove the installation of the fishing pier from this project.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I'd like to offer a motion that we delete item number 2 on this phase 2 Marina renovations, the installation of fishing pier.
a second?
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Everett and second by Commissioner Hill. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, in discussion with the city attorney, can we also get a motion so I can move forward with indicating to the state that we will be requesting an extension? We don't know the exact timeline yet. We have to get the gentleman on board, but can we get a motion for that if it's in proper order, city attorney?
Yes, sir. That would be appropriate.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I'd like to offer a motion that we grants the city manager the authority to go and get an extension deadline.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin for the authorization to allow the city manager to request an extension from the state. Call for questions.
I have one. How long are we extending?
That's, you don't know until you've done the sequencing and the scheduling. You have no idea how long it's gonna take you to finish these projects. You'd just be guessing. And I'd recommend you don't do that. You actually provide the state with accurate information.
This is gonna help.
So, I took you saw at the top, I said September 3rd. I took a stab at it, but as the city attorney said, it could be shorter, could be longer. Until you get that person in place, you really don't know. The good thing is, we have a good relationship with the state. All projects don't start or end on time. We realize that. And so, we have an opportunity and a good relationship to, once we make this request, you know, they're not going to push back on it. They want to see projects complete, of course.
I understand
and so
that.
I think we'll be okay once
That's
we
really
get.
not my concern. My concern is that if we're going to move forward with a lease on the property, then how do we adjust that lease? If they're going to run into, if we're looking at, you're saying maybe September, maybe October, then they run into season again, and are we,
Well,
is
let's
there a
take a
way to put a timeline on this?
And the
and a
city
penalty
manager
if
and I
it's
have a
not met?
recommendation on how to handle that coming up.
Okay, great.
In addition to questions,
I kind of want to respond to her
I'm sorry.
question about the season and the leases. If you look at the majority of these items, and I think the city attorney will agree, it doesn't stop the operation of the marina itself. It doesn't close the marina. There'll be some adjustments. There'll be some traffic control. There'll be one part open, one part closed, but it won't be something that's critical where we shut down the season like we did phase one. Phase one, we shut down the marina. This phase two, if you see it, it's more of, you know, a less extensive type of, they're renovations, but it doesn't affect the operation of the marina. There'll just be some adjustments that we'll have to do on day-to-day operations that will occur. So if we're over here digging, of course, you won't park over there for the next 2 to 3 weeks, et cetera. But I understand your question and the concern about how does it affect the leases moving forward. I think the state is looking for a robust program or presentation that tells them that they can make a solid decision on moving forward with the leases, understanding that this project will be ongoing. And let's just be frank, some of this stuff probably can get worked out, you know, fairly quickly. Others would take much longer, but it will be in stages, as the city attorney said, and we have a plan for that. With the gentleman that's coming aboard.
in addition to questions. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes?
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The request for extension has been approved. The
Mayor?
request extension.
As a next step to move this along, I think the commission should request a cost estimate be prepared on each of these items so it can be brought back to you so you can have a better understanding of what's going to be built with this $990,000 and what you can afford.
Would that be given by the,
No, he's not a cost estimate
oh,
guy.
that be from the,
We're going to have to get somebody else.
okay, construction, okay.
You know, this gentleman may be able to do that, but you're not hiring him to be your project
Right.
manager
That's
up
what you're
front, so.
saying.
It's
I got you.
entirely different.
And I don't know if we can amend that just a little. We haven't made the motion, but I would also include that we could identify which repairs would be on the public side of the park, so we can get a good understanding of that too, to make sure that this project has some balance,
Exactly.
both the marina side and the public side. I know the restroom.
What's critical,
I can see
that was part of my city manager report, but what's critical on that side is one, the things that we discussed in the last commission meeting that the city attorney and I presented was the additional completion of the grease trap. We're going to move forward with that. The repair of the water lines at the campground, we're going to move forward with that. And also the sewer line that needs to be ran from the marina area to the new restroom. Those are critical right now that we'll be moving forward with here. And so as far as the public side is concerned, the sewer line, there's some additional sidewalking, landscaping. There's not a lot that's going to be happening on the public park side in these particular funds. It's more centralized where the marina is, the restaurant is, the campground. If you look at the items, you can sort of picture where these renovations are going to be taking place. They're not on the public side, if not much at all, really.
Yeah, I guess
so-
the reason I'm kind of requesting that, because if we're prioritizing, these commissioners can look and say, well, there's no additional provisions on the public side, let's add a few there, or picnic tables or whatever that could add some amenities to that public side. That's just for our
That-
rationale
Right.
in trying to prioritize the list.
Yeah, well, the main priority is to get the sewer line to the restrooms. Once we can get that hooked up, we can open the public side. Again, the
So,
other
Mr. Mayor,
renovations are limited.
the motion would be a motion to request cost estimates on each one of these items, to have all these items added to the schedule that we've been talking about tonight, so that we can move forward. So, and request that that cost itemization be brought back to the commission as soon as possible.
Okay,
I'd
question.
like to- wait.
Because in fear, some things are getting, one thing is getting lost in the shuffle now. At what point are we gonna make a decision about this CPM?
Well, right
Yes,
after
ma'am.
this, I was gonna suggest you do that.
Okay, I have one more question, because when I read this down here, it says grease trap connections and cleanup, and then it says water and sewer line at the campground. But the only thing we talked about last commission meeting was water line at the campground, and then it says sewer line to new restroom and old. If you have sewer up there, aren't you gonna need water up there too? Aren't those two backwards?
To the new restroom? Are you asking the new restroom? Mm-hmm. Water's already there. That water line goes all the way to the old restroom. What they didn't put there was sewer lines, because
Okay,
the
but
sewer line went
then
across the dike.
we didn't say anything about doing the sewer line in the campground. We only talked about the water lines.
Water lines,
Okay, so that would come out. Am I
yes,
correct?
yes.
Yeah, one of the
Yes,
advantages
water-
of this
water
approach
lines.
is you get a more detailed explanation of
Right.
each item of the project, so you can understand it and follow it.
Well, I think we're talking two things. One, there were some critical repairs that we know we want to get done immediately, and that was the grease trap, the water lines at the campground, and of course the sewer line going to the new restroom. Those things have to move forward, I think now, correct?
Well, the commission at their last meeting instructed you to complete those items and
Right.
report back when they were completed.
Right, right. And so I went and did my due
I don't
diligence and
remember us
got the
saying
quotes
anything
for
about the
those.
sewer
That's why I'm ready to
line
move
to the
forward with those. Everything else
Restroom
would be under
lines
the
on the-
remaining 990.
Yeah, now the problem with the
The
sewer
only thing
line
we talked
issue,
about was that water.
okay, the water lines were broken in the campground. He was instructed to fix them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there was problems with the drainage under the restaurant. They didn't all go into the grease trap. He
Grease
was
trap.
told to fix that.
Right.
In the sewer line.
I don't remember
The sewer
anything
line
about the
was
sewer
not in
line.
that last week.
No.
The sewer line issue is one that was created previously when that new bathroom was renovated down at the park. For some reason, people thought they were gonna be able to put that on a septic tank. There's no way in the world that could ever be approved in a septic tank. So now there's gonna have to be a sewer line run from there, plus a lift station with a grinder pump, so it's a force main into the main part of the campground where it's pumped underneath the levee into this county system. And that's gonna be costly.
That's gonna be more than 76.
I don't
Actually-
know, but that's
actually,
again,
it's-
another reason why we have to have all these items broke out and
Well, that
someone in
item-
charge of the construction management of all these jobs.
But that item has already been priced, and it's been priced by two, reputable companies. So that's the price. That's the lowest price that we have right now. A higher price was, about $13,000 more than what you see here. So that's been priced out.
For the lift station too?
It's all included.
So,
No, other
Mr. Mayor,
fields
I
are
think
cheaper,
the
but-
motion is to require the city manager to arrange for cost estimates to be prepared on each of these items and to bring it back to the city commission for review within a short period of time.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to offer a motion that we instruct city manager to present to commission a cost estimate list of projects for phase 2 monies.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Vice Mayor Mervin that we instruct the city manager to bring back cost estimate listing of the project in phase 2.
Is that minus those items that we
That's what
wanted,
we add to the
wanted
schedule.
fixed immediately?
Yeah,
Well, the ones
No.
that are already
Yeah.
fixed immediately, you've
No.
already reported
Okay, all right,
on those.
yeah.
At least you sent me an email on it.
No, those are actual costs. I just want to know if can I move forward with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably just share that email with
All
them.
right.
Yeah, can
Call-
we get,
Yeah,
Call,
can we get that email, please? Because
before we vote.
For what?
For
Concerning
the
what?
Cost.
email you sent me on the cost and progress that you made on the items that they asked you to do last week.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, sure.
any,
Thank you.
It's
Yeah.
sent.
hold on.
call for questions? You good, Commissioner?
Yeah.
Okay,
Go-
call
go
for
ahead.
questions.
I'll follow.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Hearing none. Are you ready?
Hold on, I'm a little confused. Because I wasn't here physically for this meeting. But if we're going to provide the cost estimate list for items 1 through 24, why would it be a strain to just add
3 more things.
the other items that, because this is the first I'm seeing. I don't know if the other colleagues have seen it. I'm just wondering, would that be a strain to add the other, those figures along with the other things that?
Which figures?
No, it wouldn't be a strain. It certainly could be added on there.
Which?
The commission told him to complete these other repairs immediately, which is why they're sort of being treated separately from this list.
Right. So let me clarify.
So is it
The
in
number
process?
25 has already been, we've already got the quotes. These are the lowest quotes. We
these-
did our due diligence. We're just ready to move forward on
These-
25.
these
But
are
we haven't
etched
seen
in
the
stone.
quotes.
But are
Right.
they etched in stone?
Yes. Yes, that's why I'm telling you what they are.
Okay, and now, admittedly, we did say, that these projects needed to be done and done immediately.
Yes, sir.
So he had that
Okay.
authorization, right, yeah.
But just for those who want to know, I
Wait.
guess,
When we did that, we did not say one word about the sewer line. That was
that
not a
was not
part of the
included.
discussion at all, and now you're jumping in here and adding another 76,000 to this without us having had,
the sewer line to the new restroom.
Yeah, that was not
is
Critical.
on the public
That
side
was
street.
not
Right.
authorized by the commission at
No.
the last meeting.
No,
That
the
should
only
be
thing we did was
part
the
of
water
this
and the
new
grease
list.
trap.
The new
That
list.
should be part of the new list.
yeah. So that one should be pulled out and put up here.
I disagree. It's critical that we move forward with that sewer line to get that restroom open.
I disagree.
Just like it's critical that we repair the water lines at the campground and we repair or finish the connection of the grease trap. It's coming from the same pool of money. It's not a new pool of money that we got to go find. So, I would recommend, and the public side's been closed long enough. So I would recommend we add that to this list so we can get it done. The quotes have already been secured for this project. I think we need to move forward with it. Why sit on it? I mean, we can, but
Because
that
I
being
don't,
that
I
purpose-
don't like the
that
fact
public
that I
park
get
lives there.
handed this tonight, and it's got $76,000 in it, and I have to make a decision when I didn't have time to ask any questions prior to tonight, where I'm doing this in public, and that I don't know anything about this. I haven't seen any of those quotes that you say you have.
Well, typically, you don't see the quotes because how it works is in government, when we're doing bids and those quotes come in, they come into the city of Pahokee.
Well, I can tell you I'm
We
going to
then
request them.
assess those bids, and then after we assess the bids based on the lowest bid received, we then come to the commission saying, Commission, out of the bids we received, here are the recommendations for your consideration. This particular vendor. We don't show you all the bids that came in. Typically, that's not how it works. Now, if you want to see that, that's not a problem. I can print those quotes out for you and provide them to you. But typically, how an RFP
What
works.
what
is
I'm
when
saying
when
again is
person-
we're handed this tonight, and we're expected to make decisions about it tonight.
You don't have to
And
make a decision
I
on
do
the
not
sewer
feel
line.
comfortable
I
about
just-
anything that I have to do
You don't
when I
have to
haven't
make
had
a
an
decision on
opportunity
the
to do
sewer
any
line, Commissioner
research.
Boland, but from the city's assessment, seeing that we've outlined some other things that are critical.
Right, these 2 items were critical. This is not critical.
Okay, so.
That's-
the-
that's-
the-
that's
the
your
bottom-
assessment,
The
but we
bottom
don't see it that
line,
way.
the bottom line is, the remaining item was already pre-approved and given authorizations.
For the
you to
first
two.
proceed.
Correct.
He's asking to add the sewer line. At this point, we're gonna pull out that sewer line, and if someone would like to make a motion to include that, that's fine. If not, we need time to look at it and approve it at our next commission meeting. We know it's a priority, it needs to be done, but this wasn't one of the items that was immediately authorized for him to proceed. So we're gonna take that out, and then we can discuss whether or not we want to approve that tonight or at a later date, once we get some additional information.
So the sewer line at the campground do need to be replaced? Is that
No,
correct?
there is no sewer
there's
line
no?
going
No,
to
that's
the
a-
public side. In
Okay,
order for
so
you
we
to
take-
open the public side, you have to run a sewer line. So we did our due diligence in going out, asking professional, certified companies who do this as a business to give us quotes. Was it a part of the original conversation? No, it wasn't. The city feels it's still critical to get this done as well, because as we just discussed about 30 minutes ago about pleasing the public and ensuring they have amenities and accessible to them, this is critical. And so,
Hey,
Mr.
again,
Williamson?
that's a city recommendation. You don't have to take it. We can leave it with the rest of the projects
Will
and
the
items. and
contractors
that's not a
hold
problem.
those bids for another 2 weeks? So
I
they
think,
come in?
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's just postpone it and put it on the next agenda along with,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
There we go.
Okay. So the motion would include having the sewer line taken out and added with the rest of the
Yes, the other
items
list.
up top. In additional questions? We have
do
a
I have to
motion and a
repeat that?
second. Are you ready for vote?
I'll have to repeat that.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes by unanimous vote.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, the next item would be to instruct the city manager to enter into a work order arrangement with this gentleman to start the CPM sequencing process and get it going.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I'd like to offer a motion that we authorize the city manager to enter into a work order agreement with said gentleman with the CPM scheduling sequencing system.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Bolden that we authorize the city manager to enter into agreement with the said vendor. Call for questions.
When would this start taking, when would this take place?
As soon as possible. Tomorrow, we'll start some negotiations.
His resume is available up here if you'd like to see it. Did you pass
Please.
that along?
Yeah.
Why don't you pass that down? The gentleman has extremely good credentials.
Yeah, city attorney says he has extremely good credentials.
That's right. I hope I'm not wrong.
Hearing no additional question, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Oh, well.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passed by unanimous vote.
Mayor, one more thing we need to address, I think, if I might, and that is, you know, the city manager and I informed the commission that the state is not gonna move forward with this sublease agreement until we provide them a very detailed and laid out program for the marina. Very similar to what we're asking to start up here in the city, the sequencing program. The state wants to see that. They want to see where their money's been spent, where it's going to be spent in the future, how much money more are you going to need to complete the job, and how, as you mentioned earlier, how the sublease fits into all this and will help us all accomplish these goals. This is a pretty comprehensive document that this department head in the state wants to have in her hand so she can go to our new governor without embarrassment and say, I'm confident in moving forward with this sublease. After taking some attempts at drafting this both the manager and I believe we do not have the skills or ability to provide the state with what they need. So we need to ask your permission to hire either Calvin Giordano or CAP Government Services, both of which you have an existing relationship with, to put that program together, put a bow around it, and give it to the city manager to give to the state. And that should be done expeditedly as possible within the next 2 weeks. It needs to be completed so we can get that deal moving. It has been languishing too long. Amen. So unless the city manager disagrees with what I've just said, I recommend that you instruct him to get prices and quotes from both CAP Governmental Services and Calvin Giordano, both of which are current contractors with you, and move immediately to get that job done.
Question, is I guess one of the frustrating things from where I'm sitting, is it seems like I guess every other meeting, if not every meeting, some ugly head is rearing up, impeding the progress of this whole Marina project materializing. Is this something requested by the state in writing?
Yes.
Okay.
A month, maybe 2 months ago, Mr. Chandler or Mr. Williamson and I had a conversation with Cheryl McCall, who's the head of the Division of State Lands. She said, this is what I need. I'm not moving this forward until I get it. So we've been struggling with how to deal with that request since that time. We're not getting anywhere. And I don't want a situation where we send something to the state, they review it for a couple months, then they say this isn't good enough, and then we have to start over again. Instead of just doing it right the first time, get it done and get this project moving.
We currently, I mean, we already have a letter, it's currently drafted, so it shouldn't be an exorbitant cost to put everything together. I'm not gonna say it's not costing anything, but hopefully it won't be too expensive that this is something we shouldn't do,
I'm not kicking, I don't want, cause I know we have, sometimes we have spectators both viewing and present, so I'm not kicking against the prick with this. I'm just saying, I'm just hoping with us authorizing the city manager to enter into conversations even with this work order, with this system, along with the recommendations we're hearing, is going to help us get closer to finalizing, because every other meeting something is coming up. 1 minute the letter would have been suffice. Now we need to do, I don't want, and I'm not saying this to be facetious, but now we're moving toward doing something more elaborate. Now with that, is that a request just from the city? Is there also a request for the person that we're entering into agreement with to see what they're going to do on their end, or is this completely what we need to do in order to move the lease approvals forward?
Okay, well, Cheryl told us exactly what she needed, which is what I said. We want a detailed list of all the money you've spent, all the money you're gonna spend in the $990 you just had, which of course we don't have yet. What money we're going to need to complete the project up there, which we don't have any idea of. And lastly, how this lease is going to fit in to make all this work. And she has said in no uncertain terms that this is not going to go forward unless you give that to me. Now, Mr. Chandler and I have been struggling on a letter. And that letter came out to a page and a half, 2 pages. And it had a bunch of attachments to it, which were copies of exhibits from a grant. She is not going to accept that. It is not going to work. She wants a professional, laid out program up there that she can be proud of and stand behind when she presents it to the governor and cabinet. And unless we give that to her, this deal is not gonna go forward.
Okay, agreed. But to get back to my question, I understand what you said. I heard you.
Okay, I might not have heard your question.
And I listened attentively. So it's just from, she only wants what, from our position?
Yes.
As the city?
Yes,
But we're subleasing it, so no involvement is gonna be done, no involvement is gonna be had with, Mr. Lambert and Everglades?
not on this.
Okay.
On this, it's gonna be, this is the RFP for the lease. This is the proposed sublease attached. This is how this fits into the program, laying out what we spent, what we're gonna spend, what
Gotcha.
we need.
I'm good.
I see this as being something that's gonna help these citizens as well as the commission and the
Exactly.
city manager comprehend and understand exactly what's going on, which is the process.
Exactly
I
right.
think we need to, we need to make sure this happens.
I
Because
agree,
the way
I
it
agree
sounds,
with
yes, we
Commissioner
know.
Hill. I think we really need to
It's-
have
it's
this very professional so that it just goes smoothly through
Yes.
the process
Yes.
and there's no ifs, ands, or buts
No-
about it.
no sides,
If you've
no
got
trying to
somebody
take
like
any
Calvin
sides. Let's just do
Giordano
what's
doing
right,
it,
yeah.
then that's a very professional group then, and they know what they're doing.
And what are the two names again? Calvin?
Calvin
Cap-
Giordano, who is a statewide planning, building, inspection consulting service, which has done services for the
The other
city.
person?
And the other person is CAP Governmental Services,
Yeah.
which also provides building inspection and other services of a planning nature to the city.
All right.
So the motion is to, go ahead.
You ready to entertain the motion?
Yes,
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like.
she
She
just
was
want to
trying
be
to get the
clear of the
Yeah.
motion.
She wants to make sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
very
All
long
right, I'm
purpose.
sorry.
So the motion
Attack.
is to instruct the city manager to get the quotes from Cap and Calvin Giordano.
And whichever company, in the manager's opinion, will do the best, quickest job, execute a work order to do it, and have it done in 2 weeks.
All right, but that's
Yes.
the motion.
Second.
Right.
You got it?
That was a motion, but you
Yes.
can make it.
Yes.
or
I
you
did.
make it-
She made it,
okay.
Oh,
and I
she made the
second it.
motion, okay,
And I
second.
second it.
Oh,
I
you
second
second,
it.
okay.
Mhm.
All right, it's been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Bowden to authorize the city manager to solicit quotes and enter into agreement with the best
Second by
capable
Commissioner
agency to carry out this
In 2 weeks.
function in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Call for questions.
Okay.
Hearing none. Are you ready for vote?
We need to add.
Okay.
Possibly, 2 weeks.
Yes, we
Yeah,
added the 2
he
weeks
did.
to the
Yeah.
motion.
Need to add some updates.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowland,
Yes?
Commissioner Everett,
Yes?
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioner. Motion passed by unanimous vote.
Still on the city attorney's report.
Okay.
I think we're on city manager's
I
report.
mean,
Yeah.
city
still on
manager's
here.
report.
Yeah.
Marvin State.
Those are all the helpful hints
Yeah.
I have on.
Yeah,
the
I think we covered a lot. All right.
City manager's report.
In addition to that, I think that kind of wraps up what we need to talk about with the Marina right now. The remaining announcements was, don't remember, the Great American Cleanup is coming. We have that with the chamber. I think it's April 27th.
April 27th.
27th, with the chamber. That's always a great event here in the city of Pahokee. July 4th fireworks, we're trying to put a little spin on it this year. We're still pre-planning for that. And back to school bash. I know they're still in school, but we have to start early, start planning the back to school bash now for August. You know, I think it's going to be August 3rd. So I think that is wraps up my report. Yeah.
How's it planning for the possible movie going?
It's going good. It's good.
Going
It's
very
going
good.
good. We got the flyer out, and we're looking to get some more vendors in, and the planning is moving forward. We should solidify, hopefully, most of the activities within the next week to 2 weeks, and hopefully by May 1st, we'll have it panned out and ready to go for movie night. I like when those programs get planned out early and we know what's going to occur. But, you know, we're trying to bring in the food trucks, et cetera, and so we're going to try to do it right the first time so it can be a repeat, you know, on a monthly basis. So it's going well.
Right. Okay.
That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. Now we'll move into the City Attorney report.
Mr. Mayor, there was one item regarding the Marina I forgot to mention to you. We talked about this at the last meeting, and it needs to be taken care of right away, is that Counterpoint boat at the Marina is not paying any rent to the city, is docking for free. It does not appear that any progress is being made with regard to it. And lastly, and most importantly, if that boat is there this summer during the hurricanes, that whole marina and everything you've been working at, and a hurricane comes by, that whole marina is going to be destroyed by that boat. That boat has to be dealt with, and it needs to leave that marina before hurricane season begins. So I've said it now twice in public. I don't know what's going on with it, so I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Food for thought.
I have a question, because I'm not an expert. I think I got 1 or 2 experts in the audience. That's a pretty big boat, and it's mooring pretty good there. So how do we know that it will damage the marina if a hurricane? I'm just asking because I need to be educated about that.
Yeah,
Maybe
Marina,
Mr. Miller can.
all
I don't
marina,
know.
all marina operators will tell you that their bane of existence is houseboats in the marina. They don't want them. They don't like them there, and the reason is the wind damage to the marina during big storms. That boat is just a massive wind collecting potential. If you get 100-mile-an-hour wind in there, that boat is going to take out every dock you have in that marina. I'll guarantee it. I don't think you have insurance to cover it. I don't think the state of Florida is going to want to pay another $20 million to buy that marina because of a boat that's sitting there that's not paying you any rent. So a plan has to be put in place by somebody to deal with that boat before hurricane season starts, or you're just inviting disaster. Said my piece on it now twice, and it's fine with me if you ignore me. So the other item I was going to mention to you under my matters tonight is I've been your attorney now for over 10 years, and I have really enjoyed the experience, and I appreciate very much that the city has provided me with this opportunity for such a long period of time. And I believe that all people in my position that have been afforded that opportunity should give back to the city and give back to the community. So what I'd like to propose to you tonight is that you authorize me to sink my teeth into a project. And that project is turning the old hospital into a new city government center for the city of Pahokee. I will not charge the city anything for all the time I spend on it. I will seek volunteer help for engineering, architecture, all the disciplines involved in it. I will seek funding to pay the cost of doing it. And if I can't, and I'm not able to accomplish that for you within a reasonable period of time, I'll just come back to you and say, hey, it can't be done, you need to demolish it. But I would like the opportunity to do this. My concept is turn it into a city hall, have a meeting place like this built into it, have all the city offices in that building, have offices for the commissioners in that building. The remaining part of that building can then be leased out to the other governmental entities that provide services here in the Glades. That will provide a stream of revenue from those leases for the city to help you budget other improvements in the city in the future. If I can get the cost donated up front and the cost of the renovations provided by folks who I have a good list in mind. I also have good political contacts that are 100% behind this idea, which I've already talked to. If we can do that and put that in place, it will be a real accomplishment, I think, for the city. And I would like to do that for the city myself. No, I don't want any credit for this. Somebody else take the credit. Somebody else can name that building after them. I don't want anything. I don't want payment or nothing. I just want the opportunity to do that. So if you think that might be a good idea, please give me permission to do that and move forward on that project.
So be it. Order in the court. Don't start that. Don't stop. Mr. Mayor, can I entertain that?
Yes, sir.
You know, sometimes we bump heads.
Here we go.
You know, but you know, I like that idea, sir.
Here we go.
They should have listened to me in the first place, you know. But I didn't say I told them so.
We didn't have that
But
on the table.
Mr. Mayor, but I did before he silenced me say that we need to keep the building since, you know, folk gave all the other properties away. But Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would proudly like to offer a motion that we give the city attorney full authorization to see about turning that property into a city hall complex. Yeah. Oh, that's even better, government.
The
center.
other thing that will do, you can also put your public works department there in the space that you don't air condition. You just have a roof over it. They can have that space available for your public works department. Then you can sell City Hall. That will come up with at least 250, 300 grand to help pay for this project. I mean, there's all kinds of things that this could really work well on, and I just really want to see this city flourish.
Citizens are behind you.
I think we got volunteers already. We have a motion on the floor. I didn't hear a second, though.
I think the cloud was a second, but the second.
Who was the second? Oh, it is. It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Vice Mayor Mervin that we give the city attorney full authorization to proceed with turning the old hospital into a city hall government complex.
And can I say this? And for any skeptic, we have tried to do several things with that property, and it has not come to fruition. And so for any skeptic, I would say, what do we have to lose? So let's really support our city attorney in that endeavor.
And I'm gonna need some help, so you know I'm gonna be calling y'all.
Well, I got a hard head.
Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yep.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, motion passed unanimous.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Brick sales, like that.
Old business, under the old business, we have taken care of the Marina lease updates.
You know what? Let me say something. I you know, might be on to something. In the front part of that, it might be good to look into a concept, maybe a waterfall or something with some bricks, where families in the city of Pahokee, in honor of, in memory of, living or what have you.
Just like
Being
they
that
have
it's going to be
Disney World.
being that it's going to be a city governmental center, be able to do that. And then it was a hospital.
Yes.
People were born there. Maybe they want to put their birth year, something creative to kind of create some excitement about a complex coming to the city of Pahokee. I think that's something worth exploring, because that would garner support from the citizens, from the community.
Everybody can have a little piece of it.
Yeah. I mean, we've tried other projects, it didn't work. And I think this is something worth exploring.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, under old business, we have the Audit Selection Committee. I think we have some applicants here that we can choose from, or choose all, or whatever we want to decide, so.
It takes 3.
Man, we got, we had 3 applications for the Audit Selection Committee. I think they're in front of you if you don't have them already. So
Oh, I'm sorry,
we-
did I take yours? See, that's what I said, you keep putting your stuff.
You can have mine if you want it.
It's all right, I got a mine here.
Spoken with all these individuals. They're certainly willing to participate on selecting the auditor. I want to make sure no one was doing taxes because we ran into that already, but they're certainly excited and want to participate in this process. And subsequently, we're a little behind on getting our 18 audit going. So as soon as we can get this committee in place, they can review a couple of documents that we have, and we can get this thing out to bid here fairly quickly. We can get an auditor in place.
I would recommend we select all 3 of them unless someone has some objection.
No, but I do have a question.
Okay.
It's my understanding Ms. Marvez was looking to be on this committee, but was, I think, are you looking still to be on this committee?
You know what, I'm away for the, I have actually another commitment for the first half of May.
Okay,
So, as I stated before, if I am needed, I will jump in. But if I am not, if you have a full complement,
okay. I just didn't want to leave you out if you wanted to be on it.
yeah, I appreciate that, thank you.
Okay.
Well, Mayor, I would say we can make a motion for these 3.
I don't have 3.
Somebody named.
Oh, okay, I didn't see the X. I'm
Okay,
sorry, yeah,
yeah.
okay, all right. Now, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. Do the motion, in a second that I
All
get
right.
it. Okay, I'll do the question.
Okay. I entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I'd like to offer a motion that we make decisions on the applications that we have before us regarding the auditing committee.
Was this for the committee? I'm sorry, second that.
Someone second that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin that we entertain a motion to accept the 3 said applicants for the audit committee. Call for questions.
I have a question and a statement. And I'm gonna start with the statement first. I think it'll be very important that when we make selections and appointments to committees, that we maybe have an opportunity to not assume people know what their roles and responsibilities are, and to give them what they are expected to do in terms of serving on committee. Another thing, I'm big on perception, because perceptions shapes and form individuals' reality. And we made selections early on with regards to the audit committee. I understand one person on there could not serve on the auditing committee because of it being tax season. That was understood. But other appointments and selections were made. One of the things that I just believe in doing, if it was a concern with appointments, I think we need to get to a place of doing business more forthright and letting the person or persons know why we're going in a different direction. And I'm just assuming that it possibly was not done. Again, I'm big on perception. If the baby's ugly, we need to be honest and call the baby ugly, instead of changing and going in different directions without providing a clear explanation. In some areas, we're doing business good. In other areas, we're not doing business the right and appropriate way. And one of the things that I'm big on is perception of the city. And if a commission or commissioner, if a commissioner or commissioner made an appointment I think it would have been right and appropriate to bring it to that commissioner and commission before just going in a different direction. And I'm saying that not being an apologist for anyone, but being an apologist for what is right. And I think moving forward, we need to do it more appropriately than it has been perceived. Because regardless of how we may feel or what side we may be on, one thing people are due is an explanation. And I think with regards to this business that we are making a decision on.
Great point.
Well said.
In additional comments, questions? And I really like that first point you made as far as making sure that the committee understand their roles and responsibilities. So we would have to assign a
Mayor,
staff.
when a committee is formed, the city clerk has to be at those meetings because she takes the minutes. She typically serves in that role of explaining to that committee what their role is, et cetera, et cetera. Ms. Warner did that. She was very good at it. If you want to make sure that the city clerk continues in that role, you can. Most committees have their specific guidelines, and this committee here, because it's, it's under state statute and county statute, it's kind of spelled out for us. I got a good training on that from the IG probably about 6 months ago on how this committee should operate. But typically, the city clerk serves in that role when they first meet. She let them know what the actual reason for the committee is and what their responsibilities are, et cetera. If you want to continue serving in that role, that'd be good, because she gets to notate and take the minutes and archive what's occurring in the meetings.
Okay. My only question on this particular committee, because it's more of a specialized board.
Yeah, it's one time.
Right. Would the clerk be responsible or comfortable giving this committee a thorough overview of their job responsibilities, or do we need to assign someone else? Say, for instance, I'm just using this city attorney could serve in that capacity for this particular committee. I would suggest even a finance director, but you want to kind of segregate her
you want to
from
keep
that
her,
role.
yeah. You want to keep her out of it.
So we do need to have a person really knowledgeable of what that responsibility. I'm not saying Ms. Clark can't
Right.
do it.
No, I'm not saying, and I'm not saying she should do it, but you
can.
have just on the persons you're going to vote on here. One is the assistant finance director for another city.
Right.
And so they're very well
Right.
versed in this committee's operation. So you most likely already have that person on the committee. I was talking more of secretarial note taking and archiving.
Right.
But you have someone actually that has volunteered, that has done this and
But-
continues to do it
Okay,
for a city.
she's part of
yeah.
the committee. I'm saying the lead person from the city, who would that be to explain the roles and make sure they accomplish what their task is?
You could use,
before them?
because the finance director is not on the committee, she could explain it to them, what the committee is, what the responsibilities are. But she's not going to participate, in the decision making or the scoring of the packages. So you can really utilize the finance director just to explain the committee if you wanted to.
Why
It's not
wouldn't
a
we just ask
big deal.
Ms. Clark if she feels comfortable to do it?
Well,
she's sitting right there.
You can, but just remember you have a finance director that's versed in and works with the auditor now and understands what the responsibilities are. You could use Ms. Clark. She's going to be at the meeting anyway.
Yeah.
For note taking, or you can also bring in the finance director and
she's
just
sitting there, she can
have her
talk.
explain what the committee duties are.
But honestly, and I guess in all honesty, if we get to the gist of this particular committee, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of their major roles would be selecting
The auditor.
the auditing firm that will be auditing the city, right?
Yeah, they're
Right.
not actually going to do any
Yeah.
auditing themselves.
I know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But it needs to be understood by the persons that are being selected that they're not conducting the audit.
Right.
Right.
But by the same token, they need to have some level of understanding of how an audit goes. I understand the statement that I made kind of got skirted around. But I want us as fellow colleagues to definitely, let's protect the perception of our city and how we're being perceived in the transaction of business. Because, Mr. Williamson, the committee was disbanded altogether, and from what I understand, the only person that really had a conflict was the person that had to do, well, two persons had a conflict. The one who does taxes because it's tax season, oh my God, and the Mrs. Pope, who said it was a conflict of interest with her work. But there was an individual who was still on there who had no conflicts. Now, if there was a concern and the city went in a different direction, I think there needed to be given some explanation. It comes to a point that we must understand that as a city manager and as commissioners, that we have a responsibility to the people that we serve. And that individual, I can't say for certain that he or she was not informed, but it looks and is perceived that we went in a different direction. And in protecting the face of this city, I think we need to do a better job with informing.
Okay, we should be able to ask staff that. We had a person, to my understanding,
I'm just waiting on the vote.
that was originally a part of the original audit committee that we was considering, that didn't have a conflict. My question is, what happened to that particular person application? Were they no longer interested, or?
If you recall, when we had all the conflicts and that board couldn't serve, we disbanded, so we'll come back to it and give people opportunity to submit applications for a new committee. We got new applications. We didn't segregate anybody. We haven't gone through these. We know who the people are, but we haven't gone and had these individual conversations or say, hey, you three, we're gonna propose. These are the applications that we got that came forward and say, hey, I want to volunteer. The individual that we're speaking, of course, she's here tonight, and we now learned that she doesn't have the commitment time based on the calendar that she's looking at to participate, but no one was excluded. In fact, this individual that was here actually asked me about it, and we had conversations about moving forward and that we'd put it on the next agenda. So it wasn't like they wasn't aware. They were very aware, and she'll tell you that. Okay. So there was no, hidden agenda or not doing business the correct way, et cetera. None of that happened whatsoever.
If I may, because I am the person to whom you
Yeah, I wasn't aware. I know now. And even Regina brought it up. Okay.
Right.
And just give some clarification. When the original committee was disbanded, I was only notified that it was disbanded and that we would be looking at it again in 30 days. So there we left and we went it on 30 days.
She's good.
Okay.
You're fine.
And then, so the 30 days went by, and I actually came to you at the last commission meeting and said, is it back on the agenda? And you said, no, not yet, it will be on next week. So while, yes, I understood that it was disbanded and it would be back on next week, I was not aware that there was an active announcement for seeking candidates again. Whether I just haven't been in touch, but I was not notified that, okay, we're going to look for committee members. Based on my knowledge, I thought, okay, this is what's gonna happen here tonight. So we're gonna go out, we're gonna advertise for committee members, and then I'll jump back in.
And I also said that anyone that was previously on that committee, you could reconsider, so they wouldn't have to fill out another application. We already had their application.
She has a conflict. She
Right.
stated that, but again, what she's stating too, initially, she really wasn't informed that she could now be considered for this.
Well, we didn't need her to reapply because we already had her application.
But she's not on here, so.
she was already on the original board. I said at that committee meeting that you could reconsider whoever's on the board currently when you made
But
the
how would
decision.
we have
So
known that if we didn't get her?
she's the only one
get her
remaining.
Application. I mean, I happen to know her personally, so that's how I knew.
Okay.
Right.
And my commitment in May, I don't know what the timeline is now, that we've been delayed so far. And when I say I have a commitment for the most part of May, that's not going to allow me to be pushed or rushed into, making decisions. And I don't know how much time is considered because I am not aware of, because as you know, on the state of Florida, an audit committee, there's a huge scope and it's defined by the city. It could be just for choosing the auditor based on city's needs, or it could be continuing on with the audit to act as a liaison so that the auditor does not have to go through the city with questions or concerns based on confidentiality and that sort of thing. So not knowing the scope of how we plan for the audit committee to work, or the timeline now that there's a crunch, I'm not certain that that May commitment will not interfere with my ability to work well for you. So, as I said, if we need, I'm there. I'm more than happy to remain as part of the committee. Absolutely.
Okay.
But it is based on those things.
Okay.
But I appreciate it.
Let me have the commission under consideration appoint her as an alternate. That way it would give her the capability, if her schedule allow, or if this process extend beyond the first 2 weeks, she would be now in the position to assist the committee. So it just
Good
give us
idea.
a little more flexibility if we need her assistance at any point.
That's what I was gonna say, Mary.
Okay.
If she
So we
doesn't
can,
make
Good idea.
we can put that in a form of a motion and do that as serve as an alternate.
So we'll, make a motion that Mrs. Marvez serve as an alternate to the, audit committee.
Right. That won't obligate her, but it is give her an opportunity to serve if she's able to.
Second.
Okay. It has been moved by, Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Bolden. Call for questions? Hearing none. Are you ready?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
you didn't finish the first motion.
So do you make?
Okay. Okay.
That was for the actual 3 that you were gonna select.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do this.
Oh.
The person who made the original motion, amend your motion to include her as an alternate.
All right.
And we can
amend
take care
our
of one.
motion to, make a motion to add
Everett-
3 names that we
Mayor
have
Everett made the
given.
first one. He made the first motion. He has to amend.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer a motion.
Amendment to your original motion.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to amend my motion, but I'm gonna combine both of them together. I'm offering a motion that we accept the 3 applicants that we have before us for consideration, also adding Ms. Marvez as the alternate to the auditing committee.
Thank you, sir. It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Vice Mayor Mervin to approve the 3 said applicant and have Ms. Marvis serve as an alternate. Call for question. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passed by unanimous vote. Okay, now in the new business, we don't have any new business. We're moving to our citizen comments and concerns. City Clerk, at this time, do we have any citizen comment card completed?
Yes, sir. One from Ms. Joanne Culverson. Just one.
Joanne Culverson, 1621 East Main Street. Mine was, y'all answered most of the questions. It was on the docket. I want to, I might like you again.
Oh, my God.
I'm telling you, that was the best idea, that should have been done a long
I'm
time.
thinking, I'm not sure.
And, I mean, it was a very positive meeting.
Did she say I might like
That's
it?
what she said.
Was there any time when I told him I did?
My Lord.
I do agree about hiring whatever, the one that's gonna oversee all the, what's going on and all. Well, if we'd have done that a long time ago, look, we wouldn't be, and we wouldn't have put a bathroom up there that we didn't know if we could put a septic tank, or if we had to run the sewer line over.
The good thing about the past is that it's in the past and we don't have to worry about it. Now let's
But-
move forward and get it done.
I feel like we've done a little bit of that tonight, I really do, because this has been going on 3.5 years trying to get, how long before you think we'll get on the agenda? How long before that letter comes out? I mean, I've already asked this question, you told me April the 6th it was on the agenda, the 4th, and it didn't happen.
It was pulled off the agenda.
Oh, of course, it it couldn't have got on there.
Okay,
Because of all these things that
But
happened.
again, we don't need to hash stuff that happened in the
I
past.
know, we had a good meeting.
We just need to be positive and move forward and get this done, right?
Yes.
Right.
And you started it. That's
Sorry
good.
for engaging in this conversation, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
That's right. Thank you, Ms. Hill. In addition, a comment card, Ms. Clark?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll move into the correspondence, comments, and concern of the city commissioners, and we'll start with Commissioner Hill.
You gonna start on me every morning?
I'm just picking on you, baby.
I know, I can tell. First, I just want to thank everyone for being here. My typical speech, but I really want to congratulate and commend the attorney, the city attorney, for doing such a great job tonight. It was just something that we really, really needed, and we need some closure to a lot of things. And I think this is going to help our citizens understand and comprehend a lot of what's going on in the process and respect the process. And I think that's the most important piece. You guys know me. I don't say much, but when I do say it, I try to speak with a lot of quality, and you did that tonight. I must say you spoke with you did a lot tonight. And I must say that, and I hope that the city manager as well, he receives this in a very positive and good way, and we can all move forward, because this is the biggest thing for me. I just wanted to move forward and to get done and completed. That's all. And with the hospital, I just want to see how that works out. You know, if you need anything, let us know. I'm sure you will do that. And I wish you the best in completing that task, because it's going to be I feel it's going to be a big task, but with everybody working together, I think we'll be okay. And I just want to thank you guys for being here again tonight, and we appreciate you guys and love you guys.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. And I do have one comment. I'd like to congratulate Pastor Robert Reese. He's getting married May the 25th. Hey, we're going to have a little...
Oh, he's having
Well, I'm going to move on.
Oh, God.
Commissioner Bowden. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. And I just want to make one thing clear. The reason that I voted no earlier was because I'm not big on having things put in front of me and then make a decision that evening. So going forward, if that happens, you'll hear me vote no, because I like to do the research. So that's just what I wanted to let you know. I think it's wonderful that we're moving forward, and I agree with Commissioner Hill totally that this is a good night, and we made a lot of progress this evening, and I hope that we continue to make that progress. And again, we can't do it without you all. You are the ones who put us here, and you are the ones who need to keep calling us, emailing us, texting us. Please, though, not so early in the morning, because I'm really haven't had coffee. But other than that, thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowden. Commissioner Avery.
Mr. Mayor and fellow colleagues, Commissioner Hill is grunting. She can grunt all night. The first thing I do want to say, and that's piggybacking off of what Commissioner Bowden just stated. I would strongly ask, as I did some months ago, of timeliness of documents. I would strongly suggest, and I hope my other colleagues would feel the same way, that we can get documents prior to sitting on the dais expecting to make a decision. That does not make for good business. I do know that things do come in, emergencies may arise, but it has become a norm where we get documents put before us and a decision is expected to be made from the dais on the same night. I went along with this one because it was a bill that needed to be paid, and once again protecting the face of our city, because we don't want to have the reputation of not paying bills. Second is, and I think that goes along with effective communication with the commission. Not going to bore anyone with negatives, but I think this was a very productive meeting. As Commissioner Hill started, I want to say to the city attorney, a great job, good job, and I pray and hope that the old hospital will materialize into a city government complex. And I hope those persons that seem to be very interested via Facebook would also rally behind this project, because the hospital is a staple in our community. I was born there. Many people were born at that location, and so I hope we can explore that ideal of maybe having some area, maybe in the front, that people could buy little red bricks or whatever.
Baby bricks.
Baby bricks, whatever you want to call it, but it would help garner some money and some support that way. But I think we had a very productive meeting, and I look forward to seeing things materialize. And I think we took some good action. And I had something that I prepared to say. People may not like it. I've been very famous on Facebook with a few lies, but that comes with the territory. But I hope that we could move to a place that we're not being divisive, polarizing. I will not answer when messages are laced with insults, because my mother named me a name, and it was Benny L. Everett III. You don't even have to give me a title. But when messages or something borders the line of disrespect, regardless of how you feel, I'm not going to respond. I'm very particular, very specific in what names I answer to. And I think when we engage in dialogue on social networks, you have freedom of speech, but also have a right to decide what I'm going to answer to. One of the men whom I respect and admire in the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. funerals on this very day. He and others died and suffered so that I would have enough dignity, because he died because he went to Memphis, Tennessee, to ensure that a group of men who looked just like me would have the dignity of being considered a man. And I just refuse to give ear when we can engage in dialogues on social network and you see people show their real face and calling and using N-words and different things of that nature. It's a way we handle business. It's a place we handle that business. And it's in the sacred halls of this chamber. And I would wish that those who are concerned about the city would engage in dialogue in these sacred chambers of this commission. That's where business takes place. And I will not respond to folk that call me out of my name. And I had some very inflammatory statements, not so much inflammatory, but statements that would have incited some further conversations. But I erred on the side of taking the high road, because just like folk are hiding behind keyboards, they used to hide behind other things. But I'm going to refrain from pontificating what I'm saying about that. But you all have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Everett.
Come behind that.
Vice Member Irvin.
First of all, I want to ditto on all our colleagues of what they said tonight. I think this was a very good, productive meeting tonight moving forward. Mr. Brandenburg, I thank you for bringing things out and putting us, get things on the right track, and which I think we're on the right track, but just continue in that way. Thank you to Mr. City Manager also to help keep us straight, I also want to welcome Mr. Daryl Ince to working with, along with the city of Pahokee. Thank you, and looking forward to working with you. Also, that hospital, you know, that always been, where we can make it, let's City Hall, I think it'd be a very, you have my backing on that, Mr. Brandenburg, on that. Also, I want to congratulate our new business. I wasn't here to have the taste testing at Lady Hickman's, I don't know the name of the shop.
Kawar Smoothies. KW.
KWAR Smoothie Shop and Sandwich
I don't know,
Shop.
that's how I would.
But I pray that her business be very successful and that we all go and support her business. Also, let's not forget, Mayor, on the thing about, we want to make a motion to acknowledge the resident that turned 100 years old. So I want to make that motion now, that we acknowledge the resident that just turned 100 years old in the city of Pahokee, that we will acknowledge her at the next city commission.
You will supply the information for the clerk to do a proclamation?
Yes,
Okay.
I will get that information.
Second, yeah.
And I want to say, that person is a resident at the nursing home. They had a birthday celebration for her. And I can publicly state that I did assure the family that I was going to do it, but didn't get the stuff in a timely manner. Well, didn't get it as early as I would have liked, but it could have still got it done. But I thank you for picking that, because I did kind of fumble that. But I thank you for picking that up.
And Vice Mayor, do we have her
Because
permission to
that's
tell her
Reverend
age?
Reese's number.
No.
Eloise Adams.
Eloise who?
So we made the motion, so we need a second.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
a second.
Yes.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Mervin, properly second by Commissioner Bolden. Call for question. Hearing none, you ready for vote? Roll call, madam.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, motion passed unanimous. Thank you.
The next thing on my list, well, one thing the city manager did not mention, and with the costing of the fencing around the football field, is that the cost of that fencing will cost that's going around the new football field?
Not as yet. I've got 2 companies working on quotes now. I've seen some of the, like I said, layout, just not final quotes yet. Significantly lower than, iron cast or aluminum, for sure, but just haven't received it yet, but I should have it in the next few days.
Okay, and the next thing, Relay for Life, let's not forget that to remind the commission, the residents about the Relay for Life on Friday, May the 10th at the Pahokee Marina, and the Survivor Dinner will be Thursday, May 9th at the Town Center Cafe. We'll be having our next Relay meeting will be on Thursday, May 11th in the senior room at the Recreation Center. If you haven't registered your team, you can do so online at www.relayforlife.org/Glades,
April 11th or May 11th?
May 11th, I'm sorry. The event is May 10th. He has here.
So it must be April 11th.
Relay for Life on Friday, May 10th at the Pahokee Marina. The Survivor Dinner will be Thursday, May 9th.
But the meeting, you're saying?
Invited
The
to
meeting
that?
must be April 11th.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Commission invited to
Yes.
them? Okay.
Yes, and also, I have the pleasure of also working with as the commission. I will be asking the city attorney, the city manager, and our commission to help support Relay for Life with a donation.
We normally have a team, the city of Pahokee normally have a team.
Yeah, I think they have a team,
Yeah.
Mrs. Pascal, I think is over the team, but they're asking that the city match the funds, the commission match the funds with they're trying to raise $1,000 a team.
$1,000 a team?
Yeah, so they want us to, like if they raise whatever we want the city to, the commission to match. So, commissions, you actually go in your pockets, Mr. Brandenburg, Mayor, Felicia, Chandler, everybody.
Okay,
That's my report.
thank you. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.
You talk more than Benny tonight.
I did?
Yes, you did. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I see you stared at Benny. Did you just stare at him?